On June 22nd, San Antonio Spurs fans could tune in to the NBA draft and possibly witness this.
With the first pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Victor Wembanyama.
How would that sound, San Antonio Spurs fans?
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans, Victor Wembanyama fans, NBA fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Yes, the NBA draft is still quite a bit away, June 22nd, but you know what? I want to start doing a series of videos and hypothetical videos about who may get the chance to draft Victor Wembanyama first overall. I'm going to start with my team, the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs fans, drop a comment down below. How excited would you be if we had Victor? Just where would it take the franchise? Would it take us to the next level? Victor Wembanyama fans, is this a team you'd like to see him go to? Would you be excited if he went to the San Antonio Spurs? And anybody that would not be excited about this, please share your comments down below, your concerns. Would it be injury concerns? Let me know. Hit that thumbs up if you like to support a fellow Spurs fan, fellow NBA fan, and subscribe for more Spurs and NBA draft content. Let's get into it. If you're not familiar, if you're somehow been sleeping on a rock and not familiar with Victor Wembanyama, I just want to do a quick synopsis about his abilities. Positives, he is huge. 7'5" last I checked, with about an 8-foot wingspan, which is absolutely ridiculous. He can finish at the rim. He can shoot three-pointers. He's a great shot blocker, a rim protector, and his help defense because of his size. He can help around the rim with no problem. Has great footwork for such a big man. Passing, court vision. And he's only 19 years old, and he is the NBA's top prospect since LeBron James. It's pretty good company to be in. Any negatives? Well, the biggest negative you're always going to hear with Victor right now is his durability. He's very tall. He's extremely tall, but he's also very thin. You can tell just by looking at him. This is a doctored picture. You can tell he has a thin frame. And historically speaking, thin players don't hold up very well or have very long careers in the NBA. There's the exception, but we're seeing just recently with Chet Holmgren, who was a tall, thin guy, out for the year, missed all of his rookie season. Also, because of his very tall stature and thin size, contact could be an issue in the paint. Could he get pushed around from some of the bigger centers and or power forwards in the NBA? Possibly. That being said, I do think risk it for the biscuit. For the San Antonio Spurs, how would this benefit the Spurs drafting Victor Wembanyama? Will he be our first franchise player since Kawhi Leonard? I like DeMar DeRozan. I like DeJounte Murray. They were not franchise players. Victor Wembanyama, if he could stay healthy and have the projected career that many think he could have, he would be our first franchise player since then. It would also bring attention to a team who has seen very little TV time the last 4 years. The Spurs are on ESPN maybe once a year, maybe NBA TV twice a year. They've been labeled a boring team for forever, and this would just bring so many eyeballs to the franchise. It would bring excitement to the San Antonio Spurs organization. And also with him joining the team, I think the Spurs would be an instant play-in and or playoff contender. That's right, I said it. It would probably be an instant turnaround. We've seen it with the San Antonio Spurs before. When David Robinson joined the team, they instantly went from a bottom of the Western Conference into a playoff team. When Tim Duncan joined the San Antonio Spurs, granted, David Robinson was injured the year before and came back the next season, but still, instantly a playoff team. Could Victor take a team that's set to win in the low 20s this year in wins and turn them into a 50-win team next year? I think so. As far as Victor Wembanyama, what benefits would he have to joining the San Antonio Spurs? Well, he would be coached for stars by one of the greatest coaches of all time in Greg Popovich. And yes, I know the light is at the end of the tunnel for Pop. He is going to be, 75 next season? But I got to think of the Spurs land Victor. He's going to kind of rub his chin a little bit and say, you know what? I want to stick around for another 2, 3, maybe 4 years. Maybe he just will coach until he physically can't coach anymore. He would also be going to an organization known for developing players. We just mentioned Kawhi Leonard, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. So, yes, they've had some misses in the draft, NBA fans and Spurs fans, but they've also done a great job of developing young talent. Heck, just this year, we're seeing our young talent develop throughout the season. In Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham, and Blake Wesley. Yes, we got to give the players credit themselves for developing, but I think the Spurs organization is a big part of that. Speaking of those young players I just mentioned, the San Antonio Spurs are a young team. He will be playing with a lot of players around his age. So as the players are growing, in their NBA stature, they're just growing in life, and you have a lot of folks that he could relate to because of his age. And then last but not least, the San Antonio Spurs legacy, the legacy of big men. I mentioned them a little bit earlier. Let's talk about him now. First off, David Robinson, one of the greatest centers of all time, one of the most athletically gifted centers I've ever seen playing the court. My personal favorite player of all time. He would not only be joining the legacy of David Robinson, but also the other twin tower in Tim Duncan, who is one of the greatest players of all time in the NBA, period, and may consider the greatest power forward of all time. Although you got to put an asterisk on that because he played a lot of time at center. But still, to join the legacy of David Robinson, then Tim Duncan, Victor Wembanyama, I think that would be incredible. He's already got ties to the Spurs a little bit too, with Tony Parker owning. Does he own the team Victor plays for over in France? I don't exactly remember the logistics of that, but he does have some ties to Tony Parker. Look, I would love the San Antonio Spurs to grab Victor. It would bring incredible attention to the team. Selfishly, it would help my own YouTube channel as well, bring a lot of attention. But hey, I'm here to try to grow a channel, not shrink a channel. So hey, it is what it is. And most importantly, I do think it would help my team win some games. Yes, I personally do have injury concerns with Victor. He's so tall, so thin, but you know what? Risk it for the biscuit. If the Spurs don't draft first overall and get somebody like a Scoot Henderson or somebody else, so be it. But this is the guy I think that could help turn the franchise around. And just looking at our front court, Jeremy Sohan, incredible development. Putting Victor with Jeremy. I'm assuming Kelvin's still going to be our small forward with a backcourt of Devin Vassell and point guard, Trey Jones, maybe. Malachi Brand, maybe they're on a point. Who knows? Maybe Jeremy Sohan's a point forward, and the starting lineup next year, if they were to get Victor, would be Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, Kelvin Johnson, Devin Vassell, and maybe Malachi Brandon would get the start. I don't know. What would be incredible if you have 3 starters on your team from the last 2 drafts with Branham and Sohan drafted in the last draft, and if they get him, Victor drafted from this one. This would just be an incredible. Man, I hope we get him. Hope we get him first overall. Right now, at the time of this video, we're the 3rd worst team in the NBA, I believe. But our odds of getting the first overall pick are the same as the few teams in front of us. I believe it's about 14%. So let's see what happens, Spurs fans. I hope it happens, and if it doesn't, well, it is what it is. But if we finish as the 3rd worst team, we've talked about this recently, the Spurs have had some luck being the 3rd worst team in the NBA. Last time they were the 3rd worst team in the NBA was 1997. And the ping pong balls went in our favor, and they drafted Tim Duncan. Maybe lightning can strike twice. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and as always, go Spurs, go!